Every rider dreams of twisting the throttle and feeling a motorcycle launch like nothing else on the road. Few machines deliver that feeling quite like the Yamaha VMAX, but its reputation became so extreme that stories spread of stunned journalists and insurance companies treating it as a motorcycle unlike any other. Today, we're separating documented history from decades of myth, revealing what really happened. And by the end, you'll know whether the legend deserves its reputation or if the biggest surprise has been hiding in plain sight all along. Long before the Yamaha VMAX became the motorcycle everyone had an opinion about, it began as a question inside Yamaha's engineering team. The early 1980s had drawn a clear line through the industry. If riders wanted comfort and unmistakable style, they bought a cruiser. If they wanted breathtaking performance, they climbed onto a razor-sharp sport bike and accepted every compromise that came with it. Hardly anyone imagined those two worlds could coexist on the same machine. Yamaha refused to accept that assumption. Instead of chasing the next pure sport bike, its engineers pursued something far less conventional, a motorcycle with the relaxed stance of a cruiser, but the kind of acceleration that could leave purpose-built performance machines scrambling to catch up. It was an ambitious gamble because success depended on more than building a powerful engine. Every major decision had to serve a single goal: deliver astonishing straight-line thrust without making the motorcycle impossible to live with. That philosophy would give birth to an entirely new category. Riders would eventually call it the muscle bike. But creating the idea was only the beginning. The real challenge was turning that vision into a production motorcycle unlike anything the industry had seen before. And to understand how Yamaha pulled that off, we first have to look beneath the bodywork, where the engineering decisions that shaped the VMAX's extraordinary reputation quietly began. And if you enjoy factual motorcycle documentaries, consider liking the video and subscribing so you don't miss future episodes. When the Yamaha VMAX finally arrived, it looked like a cruiser, but it was engineered with an entirely different mission. Everything beneath its aggressive styling pointed toward a single objective: deliver overwhelming acceleration without sacrificing the reliability and everyday usability riders expected from Yamaha. At its heart sat a liquid-cooled 1,198 cubic centimeter, 70 𝐑𝐈𝐃 engine, an uncommon configuration that produced broad, effortless torque and remarkable smoothness long before its true potential was unleashed. Power flowed through a 5-speed gearbox to a virtually maintenance-free shaft drive, emphasizing durability over constant upkeep. Supporting it all was a robust steel frame, conventional suspension, and a chassis that favored stability over razor-sharp cornering. At more than 600 pounds ready to ride, the VMAX never pretended to be a lightweight sport bike. Instead, it planted the rider in a relaxed, commanding position with a low seat and wide handlebars, making immense performance feel surprisingly approachable. Every component worked toward the same purpose. Yet the engineering that defined the VMAX wasn't its biggest innovation. Hidden beneath the fuel tank was a system that completely transformed the motorcycle once the engine came alive. Because every high-performance engine forces its engineers to answer the same uncomfortable question. Do you tune it for effortless street manners, or do you chase maximum power at high engine speed? Most manufacturers accepted that one came at the expense of the other. Yamaha refused to. Instead of choosing between everyday rideability and explosive acceleration, its engineers searched for a way to give the VMAX two completely different personalities, depending on what the rider demanded. That solution became one of the motorcycle's defining innovations: ViBoost. During normal riding, each cylinder breathed through its own carburetor, delivering smooth throttle response and predictable power. Hidden beneath that calm behavior, however, was an ingenious secondary intake system waiting for its moment. Once engine speed climbed to roughly 6,000 revolutions per minute, an electronic control unit activated a servo motor that gradually rotated a set of butterfly valves inside crossover intake passages linking neighboring cylinders. Rather than opening all at once, the valves moved progressively until they were fully open at roughly 8,000 revolutions per minute. At that point, each cylinder could draw its intake charge from 2 carburetors instead of 1. The engine suddenly inhaled a much greater volume of air and fuel, increasing cylinder filling and allowing combustion to produce noticeably more power. Yamaha estimated the system added roughly 10 horsepower at peak output, but the real transformation wasn't found on a specification sheet. It was found in the rider's hands. Below the activation point, the VMAX felt surprisingly composed, almost restrained. Then the tachometer swept higher, the crossover passages came alive, and the motorcycle lunged forward with an urgency that caught even experienced riders off guard. It wasn't merely an increase in speed. It felt like crossing an invisible line where the motorcycle shed one personality and revealed another. That unforgettable surge became the VMAX's signature. But remarkable engineering only earns its reputation when the stopwatch confirms what riders feel. And that's exactly where the story turns next. And before we see what the VMAX actually delivered on the road, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced that unmistakable V-boost surge? Or is this your first time learning how Yamaha engineered it? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. We always enjoy hearing first-hand stories and different perspectives from riders. The numbers proved Yamaha's engineers had accomplished exactly what they set out to do. Early VMAX models produced roughly 145 horsepower at the crank and more than 85 pound-feet of torque. Extraordinary figures for a production motorcycle of the era. More impressive was how that power reached the pavement. Contemporary road tests regularly recorded quarter-mile times in the low 11-second range, with skilled riders occasionally dipping into the high 10-second bracket. Trap speeds exceeded 120 miles per hour, while top speeds settled around 145 miles per hour. Those figures were undeniably fast, but they never told the whole story. The VMAX wasn't obsessed with chasing the highest terminal velocity. Its true weapon was the savage rush between a standstill and highway speeds, where few motorcycles could stay alongside it. That relentless surge became its defining characteristic, and once journalists experienced it for themselves, the motorcycle's reputation spread faster than Yamaha could have imagined. Because the moment the Yamaha VMAX reached the hands of motorcycle journalists, its reputation stopped belonging to Yamaha alone. Now it had to survive independent testing, and the results were impossible to ignore. Respected publications, including Cycle World, Motorcyclist, and Motorcycle News, consistently confirmed what early riders had been saying. Few production motorcycles delivered such ferocious, straight-line acceleration. Quarter-mile testing repeatedly placed the VMAX among the quickest street-legal machines of its era, proving that its astonishing performance was far more than clever advertising. What impressed reviewers most, however, wasn't simply the numbers. It was the way the motorcycle transformed as the engine climbed through the rev range. Below the V-boost activation point, it felt surprisingly civilized. Then the intake system came alive, and the motorcycle seemed to leap forward with an intensity that demanded both confidence and restraint. Again and again, journalists described the experience as startling, because nothing quite prepared a rider for how dramatically the VMAX changed character. Yet the praise was never blind. The same road tests that celebrated its explosive acceleration were equally honest about its limitations. Compared with the sharpest sport bikes of the day, the VMAX felt heavy, less eager to change direction, and more comfortable charging down a straight road than carving through a series of tight corners. Its long wheelbase and relaxed chassis reflected deliberate engineering priorities rather than shortcomings. Yamaha had built a motorcycle that excelled in one mission instead of trying to master every discipline. That honesty only strengthened the VMAX's credibility. Reviewers weren't describing an overhyped curiosity, they were documenting a machine with extraordinary strengths, equally real compromises, and a personality unlike anything else on the market. But glowing magazine reviews were only the beginning. As the VMAX's reputation spread beyond test tracks and dealership floors, another group began paying very close attention, and their reaction would become one of the most enduring chapters in the motorcycle's history. That is where the Yamaha VMAX became more than an exceptionally quick motorcycle. It became the center of one of motorcycling's most enduring legends. Stories claimed it was so powerful that insurance companies didn't know what to do with it. The reality is less dramatic, but no less fascinating. During the 1980s, insurers were already raising premiums on high-performance motorcycles based on engine size, accident trends, repair costs, and rider demographics. The VMAX checked nearly every box. Its massive V4 engine and astonishing acceleration placed it among the highest risk machines of its day, and many owners genuinely faced steeper insurance bills than riders of conventional cruisers. But there is no evidence of industry-wide panic or policies written specifically for the VMAX. Ironically, Those expensive premiums only strengthened its outlaw image, turning an already extraordinary motorcycle into a legend that refused to fade. Because most motorcycles fade as newer models steal the spotlight. The Yamaha VMAX did the opposite. It built a devoted following that valued its personality as much as its performance. Owners weren't chasing the newest technology. They were chasing a feeling that few motorcycles could match. The explosive surge delivered by ViBoost became addictive, while the motorcycle's bold character inspired clubs, rallies, drag racing events, and an enormous aftermarket. Across North America and beyond, enthusiasts helped keep the VMAX alive through shared knowledge and endless customization. That passionate community transformed the motorcycle from a performance icon into a lasting legend. But even legends must evolve to survive. And Yamaha knew the next chapter could not rely on reputation alone. But before that, let me ask you this. Did you already know the difference between the legend and the documented history behind its insurance reputation? Or has something in this story surprised you? Leave a comment below and join the conversation. It's insights and experiences from riders like you that make these motorcycle documentaries even more valuable. The Yamaha VMAX is really the story of two very different motorcycles united by one unmistakable philosophy. The first generation, produced from 1985 through 2007, created the legend. Its 1,198 cubic centimeter Vi4 mechanical simplicity and unforgettable ViBoost delivered a riding experience that felt raw, dramatic, and unlike anything else on the road. Over the years, Yamaha refined the brakes, suspension, and electronics, but wisely resisted changing the motorcycle's personality. Then came the second generation. Introduced in 2009, it wasn't an evolution so much as a complete reinvention. A larger 1,679 cubic centimeter engine, fuel injection, modern electronics, and an entirely new chassis transformed the VMAX into a far more capable machine without abandoning its muscle bike identity. But knowing the differences between the generations is only half the story. The smarter question is, which model years are actually worth buying today? Because history tells you why the Yamaha VMAX became famous. Buying one is a different question entirely. The smartest purchase isn't always the newest or the lowest mileage example, it's the one that has been cared for. For most buyers, later first-generation models offer the best balance of reliability, value, and authentic VMAX character, while the second generation delivers modern performance with greater complexity and higher ownership costs. Earlier motorcycles can still be rewarding, but only if they've been maintained properly or restored with care. Above everything else, prioritize documented service history over shiny paint, because choosing the right year is only half the equation. The asking price matters just as much, and owning a Yamaha VMAX is no longer reserved for collectors with deep pockets, but buying the right one still requires patience. In today's American market, clean first-generation models typically sell between $4,000 and $8,000, while exceptional low-mileage originals can bring well over $10,000. Second-generation motorcycles usually command between $10,000 and $16,000, with pristine examples reaching even higher. Yet price alone rarely tells the full story. A well-documented motorcycle with original components and consistent maintenance is almost always a better investment than a cheaper, heavily modified example with an uncertain past. For many buyers, later first-generation models offer the best balance of value and character. The purchase price opens the door, but owning a motorcycle is about much more than the amount written on the bill of sale. Living with a Yamaha VMAX is a very different experience from simply admiring its reputation. Once the thrill of that first ride settles, what remains is a motorcycle with remarkable durability, provided routine maintenance is never ignored. Fuel economy is modest. The weight demands confidence at low speeds, and the engine's appetite for premium gasoline is simply part of the bargain. In return, owners receive effortless torque, relaxed highway comfort, and a riding experience that still feels unmistakably special decades later. Strong aftermarket support and an active enthusiast community make ownership easier than many expect. But practicality has never been the VMAX's greatest strength. Its real appeal depends on one question. Are you the kind of rider it was built for? The Yamaha VMAX has never been a motorcycle for everyone, and that has always been part of its appeal. It belongs in the hands of riders who value effortless torque, thunderous acceleration, and unmistakable character over razor-sharp cornering or everyday practicality. Experienced enthusiasts muscle bike devotees, and collectors will appreciate the sense of occasion that accompanies every ride, whether it's a short weekend escape or an empty stretch of highway begging for a twist of the throttle. New riders, daily commuters, and long-distance touring enthusiasts, however, may find its weight, fuel appetite, and focused personality harder to live with. The VMAX asks its owner to accept a few compromises in exchange for an experience few motorcycles can match. But does that trade still make sense in today's market? Or has time finally caught up with Yamaha's legendary muscle bike? But before we answer that, since we've explored what made the VMAX legendary, how it earned its reputation, and the kind of rider it was truly built for. So now we'd like to hear from you. If you had the chance to own one, would the Yamaha VMAX have a place in your garage, or would you choose something different? Tell us why in the comments. We genuinely enjoy seeing how different riders weigh performance, character, and practicality. And while you are there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling the stories behind the bikes that shaped the riding world. After everything we've uncovered, the answer is clearer than many people expect. The Yamaha VMAX is still worth buying, but only if you understand what it was built to be. It has never chased perfection across every category. Instead, it delivers an experience that remains remarkably rare. Effortless, addictive acceleration wrapped in a motorcycle with unmistakable personality. That combination, supported by a durable V4 engine in one of motorcycling's strongest enthusiast communities, has allowed the VMAX to age with surprising grace. Of course, that experience comes with trade-offs. It is heavy, thirsty, and far happier charging down a straight highway than carving through endless switchbacks. Insurance, tires, and neglected maintenance can also make ownership more expensive than many alternatives. But none of those realities diminish what the VMAX offers. They simply reflect the price of owning a motorcycle engineered around emotion rather than compromise. For experienced riders who value character over trends, the VMAX remains one of the most rewarding motorcycles money can buy. And that enduring appeal explains why, decades after its debut, people are still talking about it as though it never really left. But lasting admiration is never created by performance alone. It is created by legacy, and that is the story's final destination. Because the Yamaha VMAX changed far more than Yamaha's lineup. It proved there was room for a motorcycle built around emotion as much as engineering, creating the blueprint for the modern muscle bike. Its appeal was never measured solely by horsepower or quarter-mile times, but by the unforgettable experience it delivered every time the throttle was open. Decades later, collectors still seek it out, enthusiasts still debate it, and few motorcycles inspire the same instant recognition. The VMAX became an icon because it dared to ignore convention and succeeded on its own terms. Motorcycle history would look noticeably different without it. Its influence lives on, not through imitation, but through the standard it set for fearless design. Yet understanding its legacy also brings us back to the question that started this journey. Did the legend truly match reality, or did reality simply create a legend that refused to fade? The Yamaha VMAX proved that a motorcycle doesn't have to dominate every category to change history. It simply has to make people feel something they never forget. Decades after its debut, riders still remember the first time the V-Boost came alive, the first time the front end felt light, and the first time they realized this wasn't just another powerful motorcycle. It was a machine with its own identity, one that refused to follow the rules everyone else accepted. And that's what makes motorcycle history so fascinating. Every legendary machine has a story that goes far beyond horsepower and specifications. Somewhere in that history is another side of the motorcycle world that challenged convention, solved an impossible engineering problem, or transformed an entire generation of riders in ways most people never hear about. That story is waiting in the next video. Click it now and let's uncover another chapter in the history of the world's most unforgettable motorcycles. And if you enjoy these deep dives into the engineering, history, and untold stories behind the machines that shaped motorcycling, subscribe so you don't miss the next exploration. And if you enjoyed this one, a like helps more riders discover the channel.